Hello and welcome to the C3 pod. Today, the C3 stands for Cullen, I guess. Cullen Comics, Collectibles, Cigars, Conventions, all the stuff. We have joining us today, since Steve is doing more business stuff. He's running like 17 conventions now, so we're going to give him a little grace today. But my good friend Cullen Bunn was able to sit in for him today. We'll talk about him in just a second. Let's go with Brett Lawson there in the middle. You know him from Student of the Game and the Gameday Huddle. Brett, how are you this morning, sir?
Very good. Thank you, guys. Happy to be with you. Obviously, this is the second week without Steve, but now we have Cullen, so we have a whole new element into the whole formula. So I'm excited to see what the panel has to offer today, because it seems like every time, as Paul said before we came on air, it seems like every time Steve's gone, it gets a little bit better and better. So.
Nice. All right. So speaking of Paul, Mr. Paul Vato, from MADtv and from TED and from about 1 billion endorsements the man's got. Paul, how is Chicago treating you this morning, sir?
My apologies. I was just drinking some BioLite. BioLite IV in a bottle, for FYI. And this is just a delicious fruit punch flavor. Oh, I'm sorry. What was the question? Chicago? Amazing. It's actually quite warm today. It's probably like in the 40s, maybe nice. 30s. But next week, it's going to jump up to the 60s.
Wow.
All the snow is gone off the ground. Just a few patches here and there at Vato Podcast Studios. And I think I'm staying here for a while, spending time with Maria, my mother. And I'm missing Chicago. Almost every time I go into the city, I tear up just because it was voted the second most beautiful city in the world. So I'm going to spend some more time in Chicago.
I thought you were going to say the second most beautiful city in Illinois. Yep. And then I was going to say that's not setting the bar very high, but okay.
The world.
And then, of course, we've got our editor-in-chief and producer of this show, Mr. Erik Amaya, down there in the corner. Erik, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I am still in recovery mode from the Doctor Who convention.
That's right. Yeah, Gallifrey 1.
It was a lot. Although it was great. It was great, but also interacting with people across 3 days in a row just takes a lot out of you. So I'm still in that recovery mode. But nice. So far, no con cred.
Did you just knock on your head like your head's made of wood?
There was a thud there. There was a thud.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. And then the man of the hour, Mr. Cullen Bunn. Cullen, you know him as a comics writer. He's written Uncanny X-Men, Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, actually like several Deadpool titles, but Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, The Sixth Gun, Harrow County, which was one of my first comics to ever review for TFAW at the time, which is a Dark Horse site. Absolute Carnage. He's done Archie Horror, Astonishing Spider-Man. He writes prose. He's got Bones of Our Stars, Blood of Our World. This dude has won so many awards. Ghastly Awards, Broken Frontier Awards, Eisner Awards, Bram Stoker Awards, GLAAD Awards. Cullen, Jesus Christ. That display case behind you, is that just full of hardware or what?
No, it's just full of junky, dusty toys. And let's be honest, I have not won the Eisner Award or the Stoker Award. I've only been nominated many times.
Still sounds great, though.
That's a lot more nominations than I have. So I'll go ahead and count that anyway. So you are working on a couple of ongoings that you have going on right now, and we have the covers for those. Let's see, what were they? One of them's called something to do with, where are they at? Shit, I should have put this in the revised ROS, but I did not do that. So now I'm scrambling.
Have I told you guys it's nice to be part of a professional?
Here's the thing though, is I've been stumbling on this for a couple of minutes, and you by now could have just said the title of the book that you're working on.
What I want to talk about is Deluge and Ripcord from Ignition Press. If you guys,
thank you.
Yes. Please, that's what I'd like to hear about.
Yeah. So those are my Deluge and Ripcord are my two. They're not ongoing. They are limited series. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they just Deluge is on issue 4. I think is coming out or just came out, and Ripcord just started this last week.
That is a dope ass cover. Like, is that Marika that's doing the covers and the interiors?
Marika is doing covers and interiors. That I believe is a Riley Rossmo cover you're probably showing. It's probably the variant. So there were variant covers for each of the issues as well.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about Deluge. It looks like there's a water element and some kaiju involved.
Well, not far from where I live, there's this massive crumbling old building that I've driven by dozens and dozens and dozens of times, and I've always been fascinated by what this building was. And after some research, I found out that it was a women's prison that had been built on a floodplain. And in the 90s, it flooded. And it flooded so rapidly that they had to evacuate the inmates and the guards by boat and load them onto tractor trailers and buses and take the inmates to other prisons. So I kind of took that idea of a women's prison that was built on a floodplain, and what I added in was this idea that as the waters are rising and as the inmates are trying to evacuate, something comes through. Something comes up with the waters. The waters want something up, and it goes into a sort of a survival siege horror story from there.
Nice. Now that's a similar. You like old abandoned buildings because you did. What was the one with the paper plate masks?
Oh yeah, that was about The Unsound, which was about an abandoned. Well, it wasn't abandoned, but was about an insane asylum. But yeah, I've always been fascinated by creepy old buildings, creepy old houses, and it is a theme that kind of resurfaces in a lot of my work.
Nice, cool. And the other title we had was Ripcord, and this has a completely different vibe about it. What's this story about?
Ripcord is sort of a grindhouse action adventure story. It's about a young woman whose sister goes missing in the Australian outback, and she sets out to find her. Finds that she is kind of running afoul of this growing epidemic of this drug called Ripcord that drives people into a murderous rage, and it sets her against both these people who are afflicted by the drug, but also by the group that is distributing the drug. And it is an extremely violent, action-packed, high-octane, muscle-bound adventure comic.
So what you're saying is this is just very much on brand for Cullen Bunn.
Yeah, it is. But it's the kind of book. The artist Anike is known really for drawing sort of these. I mean, she's very well known for drawing these beautiful scenes, beautiful characters, and this book, she really got it. There's the beauty is in the violence and in the ugliness that is surrounding the story.
Now it's interesting because that cover, it's almost like a trash polka palette where it's black and white with a splash of red, but I'm seeing like the newsprint dots in there. Kind of, it's not Ben Day dots because we're not looking at color here, but like the vibe is very cool on this cover. Is that what the interior looks like as well?
No, the art on the interior is a little different. It's the color. The color scheme is really sort of, it's almost vibrant. It's got a lot of purples and reds. To me, it's got sort of, if you're familiar with the movie Mandy, it's got a little bit of a Mandy color scheme to it and almost neon looking color to
it. So you were talking about the Outbacks. Yes, Paul.
Well, and I was planning on asking this question, but maybe later, but I think now might be the correct time. And if not, maybe we can talk about it later. But I'm very interested in, how do they pair up writers and the artists? Do you sometimes go like, oh, I would love for this person to ink my comic, or does the person paying for it go write it and then we've got somebody else to color it or to draw it?
It's different. It's different for different projects, and depends on who you're working with. It depends on the publisher. It depends on the editor. For if I'm doing a book for, say, Marvel or DC, a lot of times they just say, this is who we're working with. This is who you've got on the project. But more, and then sometimes with creator-owned projects, maybe I'm already working with an artist before the project reaches the publisher, and that's me coming in and saying, okay, we've got an artist here that we're bringing on. And then other times, like with these are creator-owned projects, but there was no artist attached when I launched them. So the editor got with me. We went through just, a dozen different artists that might be the right look and feel for the project. And we kind of discussed several of them and picked the one that we think is right for the book. Mm-hmm. So for both of these, with Marika and Anake, I'd never worked with either one of them until these projects came along, and then they, and now the nice thing is now we're working on new projects that we'll be tackling after these.
And that's a really cool thing that I've noticed about Cullen's work is that you'll see a comic that works really, really well. Like Tyler Crook, you guys have done some amazing stuff. And then, or Brian Hurt, you'll see, they do this amazing comic. And then, a couple years later, they work on something else and they work on something else because there's a trust, there's a little bit of shorthand that's built up over working on a project. And when something works, instead of sitting there and trying to put all your feelers out and figure something out every time for a new project, it helps sometimes to have 4 or 5 people in your head that you've worked with before and figure out which one of those guys or ladies works best for the project that you're looking at.
Colin, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm just curious because one thing that fascinates me about writers, really in any medium, but especially in comics, is crafting a story while having to balance, the source of inspiration while also not trying to come across as too derivative. And basically just a few moments ago with both Deluge and Ripcord, you explained basically what kind of inspired you going in to craft this story, but also that's kind of been there, done that in the past for various other writers. But of course, the genre is still popular. For you crafting that story as the artist or as the writer behind it all, was that difficult at all trying to, give a new look and a new feel for something that's been around for a while, but adding your own Colin touch to it?
Well, it's something like back in the day, I was very aware of it, almost hyper aware of it. To some degree, though, I just have to trust myself. And I'm like, I know that, no matter what the inspiration is, real world or other books or movies, it's going to be me, and no one else is going to tell that story like I do. Right. It's the same as the illusion of competition among creators. If I'm doing my job and I'm doing what I'm supposed to, and I'm being 100% authentic to who I am, there isn't competition because no one's going to do that project the way I do it.
And that's what's cool about, doing pods like this with people like Brennan and Eric who've worked in the industry for a long time and having guests like yourselves. I'm starting to become a little bit more privy to that being a concept for a lot of people in the industry. Where for the longest, because I work in broadcasting, I think for the longest time, the notion was it's so cutthroat. You'll push a guy in front of a bus in order to get better ratings. But now we're kind of in the age where since everyone could kind of craft their own profile with digital media, that's not so much the case. So it's kind of cool to hear those misconceptions being broken down, and at a time where even comics have become polarizing.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, look, it's a competitive field to break in, right? It's always going to be because there's so many people who want to do it. There are people out there that would cut your throat as soon as look at you. As my dear old mom would say, and but at the end of the day, I can't. The eagle never lost so much time as when they submitted to learn from the crow. So I don't care about those folks.
Right. I don't believe I've ever heard that quaint Missouri saying until just this moment.
That's not a Missouri saying.
Put it on a T-shirt. I love it.
Yeah, it's an old saying, and I wish I could say I came up with it, but I did not.
There's a creator. There was a panel at New York Comic Con the first year that I went, and it was like Boom Studios was doing their like big coming out, we're here, we're gonna do amazing things, whatever. And Ted, what's his name? Ted Bryant or something like that. I got to look it up. But somebody asked him how do you break into comics? And he said, well, breaking into comics is kind of like breaking out of prison. Once they figure out how you did it, somebody comes along and they patch that hole up so nobody else can do it the exact same way that you did.
You're gonna have to find a new route. Right.
Because once that route is known, everybody copies it, and then it's just
then once you get in, it's staying in. There's that
really opens up a lot of questions for me, because especially now that I've been doing this podcast, and I've always respected, any art form. And I know that it's not easy. And I'm glad you guys are saying these things because as some of you guys know, I have an idea for a comic, and I'm sure, millions of people do, hundreds of thousands of people do. So I don't know if this is the right time or place to ask for advice, but guys, like my hedgehog character, which
I got to stop you right there though, only because it's hard for me to listen to ideas, especially, you said hedgehog, and I should probably go ahead and tell you guys that I am working on a comic about a hedgehog. It's this hedgehog, and I can mention this because it's been sold. It's this hedgehog, and he really loves like Chips Ahoy chocolate chip cookies, but is allergic. And a lot of Muppet-like friends in his world that he interacts with, and I'm working on this Jim Henson Studios and then some public TV. We're working together to do this hedgehog comic.
Well,
Paul's lighting up like a Christmas tree.
let me stop you right there.
This is so Paul's wheelhouse.
Let me stop you
Colin,
right there.
you may have just smoking up a monster here.
I'm sorry, living in a matrix. I can't believe, Colin, that you are stealing my idea before the fact. I've told it. I've written it down.
It may shock you. It may shock you to know that you have been set up.
It wouldn't shock me. And there were sunflower cookies, not chocolate chip. But
well, it's like the classic put enough monkeys in a room with a typewriter, you get Shakespeare, right? Like the world is only so big and people are only so smart. Eventually people are going to circle back to, the cookie eating hedgehog who's also allergic, because that has so much range, right?
It's not uncommon for someone to come up with the exact same idea that you're working on. But if I had legit been working on that comic,
you guys are assholes.
That's great.
I'm like, that's my
story.
Perfect. Like PBS.
But the dawning of realization, the moment where Paul's like, wait a second, he's got too much information. That moment is priceless. That's gonna be
short-circuiting. Short-circuiting
so it's a deal, right? You got a deal. We have a deal, right?
It's a great idea. It's a little off-brand for me, but you go for it.
Except
you did have a real question in there somewhere, I think. So
well, I did, but I think it's also for others that might be watching me make a fool of myself, but maybe they can also learn. But I feel like you've answered it. Like breaking into comics is like breaking out of prison once you figure it out. And the thing is, you make it look easy. So it's like, well, I can do it too. But it's the same with acting or comedy. We do make it look flawless. We do make it look easy. So everyone goes, oh, well, I could
you don't.
I'm like, have you trained? Well, no, I've never studied comedy or improv, but I can do it. You're just making stuff up, right? So we do make it look easy. So I would imagine comics is the same thing. It's not just, oh, well, just do it, and I'm so brilliant, it's going to work.
Maybe
so
I don't.
I think what
I don't know.
I
I actually would probably encourage people in comics just to try it, just to make something, and don't let don't be. And this was something that held me back for so many years. Was I was waiting for permission from a publisher to do something. I was waiting, I was sending ideas, and if a publisher said no, well, then I'm working on another idea and hoping a publisher says yes to that. And I wonder what the trajectory would have been if I had just done one of those things, if I put some of that energy into just making something.
Right.
Now that's not to say I was untrained. I mean, I have a degree in writing, and I also have the background of having read comics since I was probably 3 years old and studied comics for a long time. So I'm not saying if you've never done a comic, you've never read a comic, you hate the genre, but you think it's some sort of easy in, well, then you're in trouble.
Right.
then you're in trouble. But I would encourage people just to do it. I'm not saying it's, even then you're going to find a lot of problems, a lot of headaches, and a lot of roadblocks. But you also might find if it's even right for you, you might you just love it.
Right. And that's like really the way any of us have entered any aspect of entertainment or media. You kind of just rip the Band-Aid and do it, because like you could have as much schooling or training as you could possibly have. The only way you're truly going to get trained is by doing it, right? If you're going to, like, if you want to get better at even something like this in podcasting, the only way to do it is doing multiple podcasts. If you're going to be a writer like Cullen, you have to just keep writing. You could have all the, the by the book training. It doesn't matter until you actually apply it and get out there and basically and do the drilling.
I don't think that applies to podcasting, because we've been doing this now for a year and a half, and I don't see any improvement. So
that's because we had such a low bar. We just haven't gotten to the noticeable point of improvement yet, Paul. Give it more time.
I mean, I think it starts today with Cullen. So thank you.
And I was going to say too is until you get out and do something. Like, I was terrified of moderating panels until I got up on stage with Cullen and got drunk at Planet Comic Con, and we were up there drinking liquor, talking about monsters and
Patreon story.
That was one of my first ever panel experiences, and now I do them all the time. It's part of like my job description is going to Diecast SuperCon and doing them or whatever. And the thing is, like, you're going to have some mistakes, you're going to flub up, and most people don't even notice. But to Cullen's point about submitting a comic to one publisher and then going, oh, well, that must not have been good because that publisher didn't want it. That goes back to some things that I've said before about knowing your publisher, what they publish, what their mission is, what their brand is. And if it doesn't work for Marvel or DC, it might work for Boom Studios. It might work for Mad Cave Studios. It might work for Verdict. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know, but if you don't research the publisher they go into, if you don't know your audience, then you're going to fail. And taking that failure and going, well, this comic sucks, and throwing it in the bin, that could have been published by somebody else potentially.
Yep. Amazing. I do have another question, but maybe it's for after we come back. And that involves AI, using AI either as a tool, or do you rely on it? Do you recommend people use it or not use it? Or it's just inevitable that AI
is making the Muppet face. As soon as you said AI, I want you to look at Cullen's chin when it starts wrinkling up like that.
I might not even need you to partner up with me on this hedgehog project. I'll just have AI.
You might not. You know what? What's our language allowance here on this show?
We can say the F word once. It's a PG-13.
Oh well. I mean, look, you may not need another creator, and you can go out and create a really shitty hedgehog comic. I mean, there's my problem. Is I cannot in good faith condone generative AI as a creative tool. I think AI might be great at setting up a calendar for somebody, or monitoring your inbox and warning you that you've got more emails than you need to. But as soon as you start using it to create, to some degree, the first thing is it's stealing from other people to create that. So it's not going to, what I said earlier, where I know I'm going to create something that is 100% authentic to me. Yeah. Well, as soon as you're doing AI, then that is out the window. You are not authentic to you. You're authentic to the thousands of other creators that have been, that it's harvesting from. Also, it just, lately I've been getting email after email that is so obviously AI written and so terribly written that it's gotten. And what's really bad is I get them all the time for come to this podcast. Podcasters, come to our podcast. And if you message them, then they say, oh, well, it's, $200 to be on our podcast.
But you can make that out to Brendan Allen.
Yeah. The problem is I'm getting so many of them now. I've gotten invites to come speak at, reading group events and stuff like that I've told them, I said, I can't tell if you're AI or, this, I'm not going to do it because I don't know if you're AI. So it's hurt. It's everyone using it. Yeah. For every little thing.
And you said something that's important there is that AI has always existed. We've used it to sort our email and stuff forever. We've just called it whatever we've called it. But this generation of AI, the things that they're doing with it now are just beyond anything reasonable when you're talking about art or creativity.
It's an inevitability. Mm-hmm. And the increased use of AI is an inevitability. Sure. The generative AI, I have a friend who calls it hallucinogenic because it tricks people into thinking that they're creating something, that they're doing something. and the way it talks to you, it's so positive and upbeat. Oh, great idea,
and
buddy.
and that's so true, because there's an element of flippancy to it, right? Because the fun of what we do is, like, whether it be entertainment, art, any type of media, broadcasting, it's the people on people networking, the connectivity, the relationships of it all. And when you don't have that element, it makes it really just less comfortable and makes you less willing to get involved.
Well, and I said yesterday when we had Cullen on, because he was promoting the thing we're going to talk about in the second segment, I said yesterday, like, I owe my career to the relationships that I've built and the people that I've met and the other people who have built me up. Because, dude, I have no education for this. I have completely created my position with, and I got invited to Van's Warped Tour to cover it yesterday. And that's never happened before. But it's like, why are they wanting Comic-Con there? Because I went to Innings Festival, because I've been promoting music on the site and stuff. And it's like making these different connections that have put me where I'm at, to where, the PR lady from Vans reached out to me and I was like, okay, that's cool. Right. Okay. Before we go, though, because we are running out of time here, we got the high sign. I want to give credit where credit is due. Ted Anderson is the artist or the creator I was talking about that said the thing about the prison break. And that was on a panel at New York Comic Con 2017, I think. But Ted Anderson, it was a very, very smart comment, and it stuck with me. And that's the thing, is sometimes you go to panels and you don't remember everything that was said, but you'll remember a little piece of it. And that little piece is going to stick with you. It's been 9 years, and I still remember him saying that, because it's a very, very important thing. When people are like, man, I've tried this, I've tried this, I've tried this. Yeah, Donnie Cates got in. He ran up to a publisher in a tuxedo at New York Comic Con, shoved his manuscript in the publisher's hand, and ran away. Like, that's his whole break-in story.
I feel all of us have at least, probably multiple, but at least one story where we could think that part of my career took off because of one singular conversation I had and a true, genuine interaction. And like Cullen just said, with AI, you kind of eliminate that step, which is crucial.
Yep. So after the break, we're going to be talking about the Midnight Lantern Foundation. It's very, very exciting. But let's see. First segment is, who's going to... Comic-Con is the first segment. And let's see, the Nerd Bar, TSB Baking. I really need to get a list of our sponsors, shouldn't I? Because Brendan, yes, sir.
If you could just hold still for a second, I'm going to do a screenshot. Hang on. Grok, could you put Brendan in a bikini? Okay, go on.
No mustache, do.
Roll the commercial.
Peppermint Patty's the worst. Comic-Con.com, your daily comic convention online. Insightful reviews, previews of the comics, toys, and games you need to know. Delightful chats with luminaries from around the geek spectrum. In print, on video, and everywhere in between. The show never stops on Comic-Con.com.
Cullen is in like 2 of those clips.
I like that commercial. You got some quality talent on that.
We've mentioned before that, like, because I'm in a bunch of those too, but it looks like a different person each time. And Cullen, when you saw me yesterday, you're like, dude, you look completely different, right? Like, so it's funny that the first guy that's on there with the big round head and the beard or whatever, that is me. It's just me like 5 years ago.
Believe it or not.
All right. Anyway, so the real reason why Cullen came on today is because he's got a new foundation they started called the Midnight Lantern Foundation. Okay, I can't even talk. Lantern Foundation.
Every time with you.
Midnight Lantern Foundation.
The Midnight Lantern Foundation. And this is a nonprofit that he's started with his wife, Cindy, and his friends, Josh Roberts, Greg Ward, and Tim Parker. It's a nonprofit dedicated to bringing comfort, creativity, and imaginative joy to children and families facing hardship. Cullen, expand on that, please. Tell us about it.
One of the things I've always that I've known for a long time is that geeks love what they love, and they also love to share the things they love with other people.
That's why this show exists.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So the Midnight Lantern Foundation is built on this idea that horror, fantasy, and science fiction can be tools and to bring joy to people who need it. I mean, not just the people who are out going to the shops every week and, playing board games every weekend with their friends, but to the people who really need some joy in their life, people in need. Mm-hmm. So we are going to, we're going to be doing a lot of different projects, but our first big project in 2026 is we're going to be going out to families in need, and we're going to make sure that their holidays are just as good as they can be. And we're going to show that, I'm a horror writer. Horror writers have big hearts. I mean, as Stephen King says, you keep them on a jar in on my desk. But it's that horror and fantasy and science fiction can inspire people, can give hope. And so in the holidays, we're going to be putting books, toys, games,
Awesome.
together and bringing them to families so that they can enjoy the holidays a little more, enjoy the quality time together a little more, and just have something to something that they can remember and look back on that they just loved.
Nice. And when you're talking about the types of items and things that you're going to be like providing or whatever, we talked about it yesterday, and it was like it's TTRPG, it's role playing, it's comics, it's books, it's all kinds of like nerdy niche things, right? To inspire not just the like, hey, I got a gift, but it's also making people spend time together.
Yes. Yeah. That's that's the other thing is, these hobbies of ours are so often about community. I mean, if you really think about it, reading a comic book seems like a lone act, but then you get together and you start talking about them, and it becomes a community that you're sharing your thoughts and your loves. But board games in general, role-playing games, these are all things that build community, and that community can start right there at the family level.
Nice. And then if somebody wants to get involved, I know you have the website, which is midnightlantern.org. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. But there's also, you can monetarily donate at your, what's the name of that site that Cindy set up?
It's a Give Butter account. We set up a Give Butter account in order to generate some initial funds, some startup capital for the organization, and you can get to that right from our website, and then you can volunteer from the website, and then at some point very soon we've been setting up the bank accounts, connecting it to the website. You'll be able to donate directly from the website too.
Right, and you guys are a verified 503c3, which means that any donations that are made are tax deductible.
Yes.
And it also means that there's a ton of accountability, because we also talked about this yesterday, where there's so much paperwork and so much oversight for these charities, because the government really wants to make sure that if you're not being taxed, that the money is going where you say it's going. So just so you know, they are verified, they've got their status, everything is tax deductible, and you know where it's going. It's going directly into the products and services that they'll be providing for needy families.
Right. Yeah. It's all there. Materials. We've got I've got a few comic book creators who are sending me books, and publishers who are sending me books, and everything gets documented. Receipts get sent out. It's all, there's definitely a paper trail of where the money and the donations go.
Question. You said Give Butter. Now, is that a platform? Or is this your platform?
No, Give Butter is a donation platform. So it was created mainly for, at least as near as I can understand, for charities. But it's a platform similar to a a GoFundMe or something like that, programs like that.
Right.
Great.
Yeah, and if you go to our website, it's right on our blog. We've got the link to the Give Butter account.
And there it is.
Midnightlantern.org is the website. Great.
And then you're going to be showing up at some conventions promoting this. So when you're there as Cullen Bunn, you're saying that you're also able to talk to people about the foundation and also accept donations and things there on behalf of because I mean, you and Josh and Cindy, right? You guys are the organization, and because you're going to be at the convention already, you're perfectly willing to do this business as well as the other business that you're doing there.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, if I'm at a convention, and you want to come up and talk to me, you're going to hear about the Midnight Lantern Foundation, and we're going to be bringing. Look, we're going to be bringing. This is a while supplies last scenario, right? We're going to be bringing free comics that we're going to be giving away to people as they come up and they want to talk to us about it. We've got lots of cool stuff, cool swag to hand out as people visit us at these conventions.
And Colin, do you think this is like, because it seems like you're so immersed in this the same way you are with your day-to-day work as a creator. Do you think because of that, and because you can go to different, media appearances, live appearances, events, conventions, and plug that, but not necessarily force the promotion, make it to where it's genuine, to where it's real and authentic in the conversation, because it's very much a part of you and your brand. So any comic you release now is kind of going to have, you know, maybe not a simultaneous side-by-side type of value along with the Lantern Foundation running concurrently, but at the same time, it seems like the Midnight Lantern is as much a part of you as your work is. So it's almost like they're not even separate. Basically, if you're showing up to do one thing, the Midnight Lantern is going to have a presence as well.
Yeah, almost, 100%. It's sort of like, you know, I've been describing it, and this isn't just the Midnight Lantern, but a number of projects that I'm working on.
Mm-hmm.
I've been describing as sort of the Cullen Bunn ecosystem.
Oh,
and
cool.
all, you know, and they're all kind of playing together and working with each other.
The Cullenverse.
Yeah, the Cullenverse.
Yeah.
Did you
He tried to patent the Bunn verse, but those hot water people came after him.
Yeah, any relation to the coffee? But
No. You know, when I was a kid, my dad would, if anyone mentioned that, the coffee machine folks, he would immediately go into this rant. And it could take 10 minutes. He'd talk about how the Bunn family worked with this other family to create these coffee makers, and how the one family ripped the buns off and wrote them out.
That's our machine, damn it.
And he made it all up on the spot, and he would just drop it every time someone mentioned that coffee machine.
I love it. We always admire commitment to the bit.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this, and I'm sorry, did you mention what is the significance of Midnight Lantern, or is it? Am I missing something, or is it a?
No, you know, we were just thinking. Bottom line, we were thinking of something cool. What's cool that we could call it? But we like the idea that we're embracing sort of the dark aesthetic, right? But also we're bringing light into the lives of other people.
It's also an immediately just evocative name too, Midnight Lantern. Like you get it, you know.
Yeah,
and the
It's
logo.
like-
If you look at that logo you popped up, I love it. You know, I called a buddy of mine, Jeremy Moeller, and I just said, "Hey man, I'm doing something. I need a logo for the Midnight Lantern Foundation." And
You know what though?
That
That looks like a lot like the old logo for Happy Hour, the show that Cullen and Anton Kromoff and I used to do. So I think I might have to call my attorney.
I can't even picture the Happy Hour logo, but I'd love to see it.
So that was not created using AI.
No,
safe to say.
No,
Safe
that
to
was
say.
created with by hand from
Amazing. It's
So
talented artist.
if you count the tentacles, you can see that there are the correct number of tentacles on there. So no, it's not AI.
Right.
It took me a
Not
second
slop.
to get that. It took me a second.
It's gentle humor. It's got to walk out
Yeah.
to you sometimes. Paul knows that feeling.
Lay it out. Softball it.
Now, you mentioned your dad, and I put this in the notes and nobody bit, but I would love to say that, Cullen, your father was in show business, and you grew up doing a lot of the things that he did and being part of his act. Could you tell us a little bit about Mr. Bunn Sr.?
Yeah, so my dad was many things over the years. He had many careers, but one of those careers, he was a performing stage hypnotist, and he did that for I don't know how long, years and years and years. He did stage hypnotism, and yes, when I was very little, Brendan, when I was very little, I would go up on stage and they would bill me as the world's youngest hypnotist, and I would go up and be part of the act as he was hypnotizing people.
And I think that's
able to do it. Do you still have that ability? I mean, because we had at Binion's Casino, we had a show there, a hypnotist show. So, and I have a few friends that have shows, magic, hypnotism, etc. Do you still have those techniques that you can use?
I wish I could have picked it up. I was never a gifted hypnotist. I can tell you that it's, you know, and I know that there's a lot of shenanigans and chicanery when it comes to hypnotism, right? And there's a lot of people like, oh, it's all fake. It's all people just going along with the bit. And I get that. And indeed, my dad had bits that he would do if subjects weren't hypnotized. He had things he could do that always would work no matter what. But I've seen too many just bizarre things over the years. I've seen him do too many things that I'm a big believer in what he was able to do through hypnotism.
I don't think it really worked.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, one of the things I was going to say though is that's the part of Cullen's background. Like the thing is that I don't know if you know that you do cold reads and stuff like that, but I've seen you meet new people and I've seen people come up to the table, whatever, and within seconds you've got the whole thing mapped out for like what their intent is coming up, what they're going to talk about, what they're going to buy, like how big of a dick they're going to be in some cases.
That's called the Cullen Bunn checkout. Because I can size them up real quick, and if I don't want to talk to them, I shut down very.
But that is a skill that whether you want to say like I don't have those skills or not, you are a master at the cold read. I've seen it.
Yeah, I don't feel that I do. That's very uncomfortable, and now that you've said it, I'm not gonna. It's gonna be even more uncomfortable. Thanks, thanks for that.
Congratulations,
oh,
Brandon.
so
I was
much.
shut down.
I just ruined his entire career. You can blame me. God,
derailed.
I'm gonna get a nasty phone call from Cindy later.
So this pod is all the undoing of all of us.
Yep.
Well, last 2 minutes.
Just going back to your early years as a hypnotist, youngest hypnotist. Where was this location wise in the United States? Is this where you grew up?
He traveled a bit, but it was mainly based around the North. We were in North Carolina, so it would have been right around there. And I remember. Back in those days, like if you think about traveling to comic conventions and such, he would travel to CB jamborees, and where all these CB users would all congregate at different parts of the country, and they'd have booths just like you have at a comic convention, and he would pitch his hypnotism show as a fundraiser for schools and volunteer fire departments and anything else that people, churches, anything else people were wanting to raise funds for. And I have a big folder somewhere here in the house that has a bunch of his flyers and things like that he was putting out back in the day. And in one of the folders, one of the subfolders, he performed at a school. And this is how different things were back in those days. He performed at a school, and there are all these letters from parents that just read, "My son has permission to be hypnotized."
I thought you were going to say there were a bunch of angry letters after the fact saying that you demonically possessed the children.
How do you snap them out of this?
It's just all these little letters, just like handwritten. My son may be hypnotized. My daughter may be hypnotized. See?
Yeah, my full endorsement.
Is your father still around? Is he still with us?
No, he passed away a few years back.
I'm sorry to hear that. Sorry to bring the show down, but
no.
Yeah, way to go, Paul.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Thanks.
My mom's sick.
That my dad died.
Did you ever find, or did your father ever find himself interested in your work as someone who at least was, dabbling in what he did, but then branched off and did your own thing? Did he kind of familiarize himself with you, or did he kind of just appreciate it and from a distance? He
appreciated what I did. He wasn't a comic book guy,
right?
But we one of the things he did love to do was go to comic book conventions and negotiate for comic books.
That's awesome.
He liked to go and wheel and deal with the comic book dealers. So we collected comic books together. In particular, like Uncanny X-Men was the thing my dad and I collected together. Wow. And he did not live long enough to see me write Uncanny X-Men, although I know he would have appreciated that I was writing that book. But as far as reading them or anything, it wasn't his thing. Early in my career, I wrote a bunch of I adapted a bunch of self-help books to the comic book form. And one of those was like Think and Grow Rich. And he liked that. He thought that was cool because that was the kind of book he liked to read. So he liked that I was adapting Think and Grow Rich, which isn't my proudest moment. It's not something I show.
That sounds like a Kiyosaki title, Rich Dad Poor Dad or something.
I wrote a bunch of those business and self-help books.
Wow.
As comic books early on in my career.
You're going to have to send me a PDF because now I'm obsessed. I need to know. I
I
gotta
don't
see
know
them.
if I have to.
No,
I don't think I have to.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You took
May
like,
you?
Napoleon Hill's book. You took
Yes.
Napoleon Hill's book and then
Yeah.
and turned
And
it
I
into a
took
comic.
I took it and turned it into a comic. I did that with that book. I did it with the 80-20 principle, the master the art of selling.
Wow.
The
Watchtower.
50 Cent did a sort of a biography self-help book. I did that one. Yeah, I did a lot of
The
those.
Book of Mormon. The Pearl of Great Price.
Dianetics, right?
The Old
Yes,
Testament.
yeah, that was more than a limited series.
And now we're going to get targeted by the Church of Scientology. Thanks a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, right. Exactly.
Playboy.
Next week, who knows where this pod is. But that's actually pretty cool, though, because I remember I took a class in college that was all about comics journalism, that was using the artistic medium of comics for journalistic purposes. And I found through that, course and various other just ancillary anecdotes, I guess you could say, that is a growing trend, really has been for like about a decade plus now. But that's a very popular way to really push out information and really to tell a story that may be more for non-fictional or for more informative or documentary style purposes. Like, it shows that the visual, especially if people are visual learners, that the style of comics really can work across the board.
Well, yeah, I was as I was writing those, I was working as a VP of marketing. I have a day job, and I did a lot of presentations for the company. I did a lot of training for the company, and I always kept thinking, what I'm doing in these comics, these are visual hooks, these are memory triggers, and that's what we're trying to incorporate into the comic.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So
cool.
cool.
I think that's about time that we have for the second segment. When we get into the third segment, this is going to get interesting, y'all, because you would think that a comic book writer reads comics, but he reads about as many comics as Paul Vato does.
Oh, man. That's awesome.
That's
So we're going
probably
to do-
not quite true.
Don't insult me now.
So we're going to do
Man,
the solicits
you
for
know.
this week's comics keys, and Cullen is going to chime in on the covers and stuff. So this is going to be fun. But yeah, that was our second segment. When we come back after the break, it's this week's comics keys, collectible comics to look out for.
Sponsors.
Oh, sponsors. Yeah, we have those. Let's see. The Nerd Bar, Alabrijes, the Toy Shack, Comicon.com,
Lava packs.
Lava
There
Packs.
you go,
I always
Eric.
forget
Way
Lava
to
Packs.
produce.
Why do I forget
I
Lava
don't know
Packs?
why that's the one that my brain logged onto.
Lower
but-
third, and
Right.
don't forget the lava packs. That's the new lower third.
We're gonna have to
Yeah,
run
there
a
you go.
chyron underneath
Yeah.
the entire episode because when Steve's
ticker.
not here, or Steve could just send
Sponsor
me
ticker.
the sponsors so that I would know what they are. Because that would probably be the best thing is if I just had a list to read off of. But anyway,
That's what's
yes.
so funny. Like for conventions, literally every waking second, or at least every time before you and I step up on the stage, he'll remind us about the sponsors. But for the podcast, he's a ghost, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So there we go. When we come back, it's going to be this week's Comics Keys. Thank you so much to all of our great sponsors. If I've forgotten you, it's Steve's fault.
Peppermint Patty's the worst. Comicon.com, your daily comic convention online. Insightful reviews of the comics, toys, and games you need to know. Delightful chats with luminaries from around the geek spectrum. In print, on video, and everywhere in between. The show never stops on Comicon.com.
Are we back? Okay, cool. Hey, welcome back to the C3 Pod. Comics, Cullen, and collectibles, cigars, conventions,
Coins.
dental comedy. Anyway, so we're in the third segment. We're going to be talking about this week's comics keys. The first one we have up for today is Absolute Batman number 17. This one has the first full appearance of Absolute Poison Ivy and the introduction of the Absolute Court of Owls. The solicit says Absolute Poison Ivy seeks her teeth into Arkham. Dr. Pamela Isley has been unleashed from the Arkham facility with an unending hate and burning fire for revenge on Gotham City and those who put her in the belly of the beast. When Batman hunts her down, he must survive a labyrinth of leveled horrors, one more gruesome after the next, as he tries to save the city from a monster it created. Cullen Bunn, what do you think of this one, sir?
Yeah, look, I'll admit I didn't jump on this Absolute line when they started up, and I didn't get it. Like I wasn't sure. I had a friend who told me, like, basically broke down the story for me. And I was kind of like, oh man, that sounds really stupid. But there was something about it that was like, it kept hitting in the back of my mind. I was like, it sounds kind of stupid. But I was like, oh, it sounds the right kind of stupid. And I got to tell you, I think this the Absolute Batman book in particular is just I mean, pun intended, batshit crazy.
Yeah.
And so it's exciting. I'm not anywhere up to issue 17 yet on the series. But I've seen when they announced the Absolute Poison Ivy. I think obviously the book's going to be big. The book continues to be big. It's amazing that this book is doing as well, is doing what it's doing. But everyone who reads it loves it. And
why is it every time DC tries to do something new and creative, it's always the Batman series that is the standout?
Well, it's Batman.
Yeah.
He's always going to be. But it's not only that it's just Batman. It's Scott Snyder doing Batman again, and there's a love of Batman in this book, even though it's a reinvention, right? There's a love of Batman in the book that comes through, even when they're changing everything. And then there's an interesting excitement over what is Absolute Poison Ivy going to be like? What is Absolute Joker? Why is he so damn bizarre looking? That kind of there's a cool excitement over that. So I get why this book is doing so well and why it's the standout.
And the word reinvention is the perfect word to use because we've talked about it multiple times on this very show. Batman is a classic rinse, wash, repeat type of scenario. And I mean that in the best way possible because you could take the character for what he is, his mythology at its core, and you could just constantly keep tweaking it, keep adding your own approach, keep, molding it how you want to, and it works. And the audience is always going to be there.
Yeah.
With other heroes or characters, that may not be the case. With Batman, time and time again, through movies, through cartoons, through toys, through video games, and of course through the comics themselves, it shows that not only can we get more Batman time and time again with a new, each new passing era, we want a new Batman with each new passing era in all mediums. So this is just another example.
You want a new Batman that is still the Batman that you love. And that's the thing that so many times the comics fans or the movie fans or whatever, the fans of the character lose their shit when they find out that, it's Keaton instead of some burly looking guy. So it's that thing where it's like, it's got to be familiar enough, but then different enough to make it interesting. And it's a weird line to try and
Paul,
you were trying to show
Absolute's perfect.
Paul, but your camera angle made it fuzzed because your background is fuzzed. What is on your hat that you wanted us to see?
Oh, no,
for the audio
my hat
audience.
is just,
Explain.
it was my poker league. I was probably holding up.
Oh, he's trying to promote his. Okay, so next cover. So this segment is about the collectibles, and so we'd like to show some different covers and things. And there's arguments about how collectible comics actually are, and basically it's what are people willing to pay for it. This one is a MegaCon Orlando 2026 Mark Brooks foil virgin variant, and I thought this was a really cool depiction of Poison Ivy. You can see it's got some of the classic elements in there, but it's also got some interesting new things on there. What do we think of this one, guys?
I think it's awesome just because Poison Ivy is one of those things where it's all like, sign me up. And obviously there's tons of reasons why numerous male comic book fans over the decades would say that. But every way, I think she's one of the few DC villains, or at least in in Batman's rogues gallery, that even Uma Thurman was kind of even like enjoyably corny, right? To a degree, even if when you look back on it with a degree of hindsight. Like every adaptation we've seen of her, I've enjoyed through animation, through the Bruce Timm series, through everything else, through the fun little twists we've had on her in recent years, even all the stuff with Harley Quinn that they've had spinoffs on. And I just think in the comics, visually, everything you could do because of the plants and the vegetation, it'll never get old, and there's always a way to make that fun. Anytime you have Poison Ivy, I'm hyped.
And since you mentioned the Uma Thurman version, like this actually does have some features of that costume, like
100%.
That headdress thing she's got going on. That's
with
very much
the eyebrows. Yep.
Yeah.
Right. With Uma Thurman in the movie and stuff, those were like prosthetics that were on her. And if you look at this one, the suit is the suit, but then you see on her arms and legs, it kind of looks like she is the plant. The plant is an element of her. And I think that speaks more to the character than some of the costumes we've seen.
Yeah, it's a neat cover. Look, Mark Brooks there's so many amazing cover artists out there, but I got to tell you, Mark Brooks may be, for me, since I started my career as a comic book creator, at least he's got to be right up there at the top. He's such an amazing artist, and this cover is interesting because it's easy to just dismiss it as it's it's a single shot image of a character. But just as what you guys have all done here, there are story elements in that picture that you're all discussing. What does this mean? This looks like she's growing, the plant's growing through her flesh.
Nerd analysis.
There's a lot of cool story elements to just that picture.
Nice. Paul, do you have any impressions of this one?
I mean, I love it. And I think, I don't know if it's become clear yet, but my love of redheads. But besides that, I love, again, is this a virgin cover? Like a variant and a virgin cover? I love that. That's what I want. Send Paul variants type of a thing, because there's so much
lower
space.
third, baby. There it is. He's
Lower third.
Well,
Yeah,
and for
man.
being a
I love
convention exclusive, there's a lot of spots on here where it could get signed by the artist or the writer or whoever, somebody who's involved with the book or whatever. If it's an exclusive for the convention, the artist who did this cover is probably going to be there.
When is the convention then?
MegaCon Orlando 2026. Well, that'll take 2 seconds to look up.
Okay, so you have to be there in order to get this, and then what's that process like? Do you know what
it's
you
March
have to do
19th through 22nd. So what they do is the publisher or the artist or both will have a limited number of these available at their booth. And you can go up and you buy them. They're usually a premium. So this will have like a $4 price tag on it as the regular comic, as the A cover or the open order covers. But any of the special covers, that price goes up. If it's a convention exclusive, you're looking at like $50 sometimes for these, especially if it's a foil cover. It's, a very limited number. If they only printed 100 of these, you could be looking at $100 for it.
Wow.
And then once they're gone, they're gone.
A deal at twice the price.
Nice. So we actually have a third cover for this one, and this one is an open order cover. And I like to do the exclusives as well as the open orders, because you can get some cool covers just by ordering them, and your retailer doesn't have to get 150 of them like the incentive ones or whatever. And that's the cover D, and this one's by Eric Canetti.
Wow.
And this one is so like Stoko-like. It's such a different vibe, but it's got the elements of Poison Ivy on there. It's got a very cool looking Batman. It's a very like body horror. It's very environmental horror. There's a lot of cool things going on with this cover. Crickets, love it.
No, I got it. That's. I was hoping that someone else would talk.
That is kind of. I feel like your initial reaction to any of his covers is kind of that stunned silence, because you're still sort of.
Let me look at it.
All the details.
It's not right. That's how I was kind of like, Brendan, this way. Let me look at it a little bit longer. No, but it's true. It's an example of just like, you can make Batman so outlandish and you can make him so rooted in the real world, and it works aesthetically either way. You can make it super dark and gritty and brooding, and then you can make it something that, like you said, is almost like body horror, as like you said, it's something out of the natural world as well. Something that almost looks a little alien and almost even like, monstrous, but also still has the Batman aesthetic you need, even with the slits in the mask. Yeah, it's awesome.
Well,
Brendan, it would probably help if you would send us these ahead of time, then we could probably look at them.
Yeah, you had these yesterday, but okay.
Oh, you sent them out? Oh, my apologies.
Yeah.
I don't read your emails. Go on.
And you also cut off.
That's good, Paul.
The Modern Master of Macabre there, you just cut off.
No, it's fine. What's interesting is
Master
when they announced Poison Ivy and the Absolute Batman, on social media, I don't know if it was a big outcry, but I definitely saw a bunch of people say, oh, well, Joker was so bizarre. This character in Absolute Batman was so strange and horrifying looking. But, Poison Ivy, of course, she's a woman. She's gorgeous. Mm-hmm. And that was there were people who were wondering why she was not depicted in a horrific way. Yeah. Well, there you go. There's your horrific. There's your horrific moment.
You got it.
That's true though, because she has the ability to control plants and like natural elements or whatever. Like, why doesn't she do more of the bamboo shooting through the body kind of torture stuff?
Well, I imagine, my guess is that's what we're going to get more of that, and I think it's going to be worse than bamboo shooting through the body.
I don't know, man. That sounds really, really uncomfortable. The bamboo growing up through your body at any inch a day.
Whatever is erupting from Batman's mouth here.
Brandon, Singapore Canes, as the wrestling fans.
Nice.
Kendo sticks, yes.
The next one up we have is Captain America #7. This one's got a first full appearance of a character called Salvation. It says, a Captain's crusade, Red Hulk's fear of a second Dr. Doom rising from the ashes of Latveria spurs him into taking drastic action. Just as Captain America discovers there are those within the war-torn country who see a bright path to the future. Can Captain America bring their dream within reach, or are they too many forces stacked against him? This is a very classic Captain America kind of pose that he's doing with the shield. The sheer force of that blow from Red Hulk kind of comes through, and I like what they're doing with the effects that are coming with the bent American flag, like it's refracting light and stuff. This is a very cool cover.
It's not just like a classic pose, as you said, because it definitely is. It's really just a classic cover, classic visual in general. It looks like you have Zemo of some type in the background. You know, there's automatic just Hydra, Captain America from all different decades, whatever it may be, swap. You can just, interject it here, and it kind of just works throughout the different decades of the timeline. And this also looks very modern as well, because Captain America obviously has kind of changed the look visually as over the years. This matches what you have modern wise, but it also matches the storytelling with throughout just his entire chronology, I guess you could say. And again, Red Hulk, that's what they did with the movie this past year. Anything with the Hulk and Captain America.
Red Hulk?
Yeah, exactly right.
How many times?
Yeah, exactly. So thank you, Colin. So at this point, it may not be fresh or new, but it is familiar. So at the end of the day, it's not anything that's going to make you go, wait, what? It'll make you go, oh, okay, that's typical Captain America. And sometimes it works.
It's funny, as much as I bust on Rob Liefeld, this actually looks like a good Rob Liefeld cover, and there aren't many of them out there, but you see the 1 foot, right? And there was a joke in our group earlier today. I have my writers in a group, and one of the things that they called Rob Liefeld in a review that posts today is a presumed podophobe, somebody who is afraid of feet.
Well, he wasn't afraid of money, because he made a hell of a lot of that from drawing his pictures that everyone makes fun of. Because I'm telling you, when his books came out back in the day, you couldn't get enough of them. Yeah. But
the art has evolved so much, though, that like it's that he's still drawing in the style that he did back then is the thing that kind of like it's everybody else has evolved past that except for him. He is a relic of that era.
Also, maybe he just doesn't want to change what's worked for him for.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And make hay while the sun shines. I just don't consume it because it's not my taste.
To me, the cool thing about this cover is what you all said was the flag. The flag stripes kind of form the action lines and give motion to that punch, which I think is really cool. I don't know who this artist is on the cover, but it's really cool. And, it's Chip Zdarsky, I believe, writing Captain America right now, right? So it's going to be, we can make fun that he's fighting Red Hulk again, but Chip's going to do something interesting with it for sure.
Yeah, and it's kind of like if it ain't, like we just said, like you just said, Colin, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But at the same time, if you trust the writer, if you trust the artist, you'll probably be inclined to give the book a shot. And next, whether you liked it or you did it, and when it's all said and done, you did read it. So mission accomplished on their end.
And interesting factoid about this cover is Paul was the body model for Red Hulk. So Paul, what was that process like when you were doing these poses for the cover artists so they could do this one?
I mean, it's just like any other modeling gig. I'm going to take it serious, and they asked me to just put. I was too trim, so I had to put on a little bit more fat. Around the belly area. But other than that, it was an amazing shoot, and just it's tough to just stand there and pose for someone, but and get painted red. I think that was also an inconvenience. But other than that, it was just like any other modeling gig.
You should only be so lucky, Paul. Like all these other actors who play superheroes are like killing themselves to get in shape, right? And meanwhile, you actually get to eat more and bulk up to play your hero. Great.
100%. Maybe you guys can see me last week in my my muscle shirt. So
look the part.
Right. Next up is Wolverine number 16. This one's got a possible first cameo of Cold Bug. Secret weapons, Alpha Flight, and Department H unleash lethal weapon against Logan. Have they found a way to kill the unkillable mutant? Plus, Silver Sable against the ropes, fighting for her life.
Look, you're always going to get me with an Alpha Flight cover. And I'm an 80s kid, so I love that Alpha Flight.
That actually leads me to a question. I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about the cover, but Colin, how was it handling X-Men, especially at a time when you picked it up, where there were already so many characters, but not yet maybe to the characters, the amount of mutants we have now? Because there's been running jokes about it for years, whether it be tongue-in-cheek or downright critical, about how there are so many. Sometimes it's hard moving forward with the franchise, regardless of how you're doing it. What are you going to do as far as the team? What's the priority? Who's the lineup going to be? Did you have difficulty with that, especially under the Uncanny X-Men title, which became as iconic as anything?
Yeah, no, it was interesting only because and the team that I ran with on my Uncanny X-Men line was the second team I picked. My original pitch for the series had a very different team because I love all these characters so much. My first pitch for the team was super different. And somewhere out online you can find where artist Brian Hurt drew images of my team members that were going to be in my first pitch. And it didn't go for various reasons. That didn't happen. And then I decided, well, I'm just going to do like a dark X-Men take. And then my team became, Magneto and Psylocke and Sabretooth and Archangel. So it that was a little easier to pick that team because I focused it on darker characters. But yeah, I mean, and then just in telling the story, there's so many characters out there. It was just, for me, it was just what I felt was honoring what I saw as a long tradition that I was, playing into rather than just, I didn't want to take X-Men and try to dismantle it and turn it into something and rethink it. I wanted to honor what had come before.
They're letting you play with the toys in the toy box. Don't put them back broken.
And it's cool because Claremont basically helped define the characters that you just mentioned, Colin. But at the same time, they're so cool and so popular now. Other writers can use them and add their own twist, which is what has happened because those characters, if anything, have become more popular since then, even though their foundation was laid in those, formative years, which is awesome. Or at least transformational years when it started pivoting to different characters.
For sure.
So about this cover, and I just put in the notes, but now I'm going to say it. This looks to me like a mashup of two different covers. It looks like two different styles. The foreground could be a cover by itself with almost nothing in the background, and that speaks to Wolverine. You see that he's been in a fight. You see that he's struggling, whatever. And then the back looks like a completely different cover to me. So I'm curious how these two images come together for the story, because you said this team really well. I've never heard of them, but that doesn't mean anything. But Alpha Flight is in the back. That looks very 90s to me. And in the front there, that looks very modern. So I don't know what the purpose of this cover was or how it ties into the story, but I feel like this could be two different editions or two different covers, and they would both work. But together, it's a little odd for me.
Alpha Flight is Canada's premier super team. Thank you very much.
I said educate me. I said I don't know.
Boom.
And they had a long running series when in the 80s by the great John Byrne. And I'm not 100% sure that their first appearance was in X-Men, but they've been connected to the X-Men and Wolverine since their inception. So that's why they're connected to Wolverine. I think he was involved in whatever the government agency that Alpha Flight comes from. He might have even been one of them at one point.
The RCMP.
Yeah. What's that?
Is it Department H?
That's what I thought, but I didn't want to say it and sound like
it's in the solicit. I just said that.
Oh, well, Wolverine and Alpha Flight have been connected.
Oh, so they just kicked his ass. He's not reaching for help. They just beat him up. Alpha Flight.
They always fight. They like him,
Alpha Flight and Department H unleash a lethal weapon against Logan. So I don't like them now.
Oh no,
because
definitely not.
They just killed my guy.
Yeah, they just kicked his ass. They basically just mugged the hell out of him.
Now, how did they get him that bloody and none of them have bruised knuckles or blood on their white suits?
You see,
we got to find out.
Snowbird over here on the left, she can turn into like any kind of. She can turn into like a polar bear or an eagle, or even like.
You haven't said anything that's not Mystique yet.
And then that's Vindicator. She's super powerful. And
which one's Vindicator?
He's just a little cannonball.
His name is Punk. His name is
Puck. Like a hockey puck.
Oh my God, that's so ridiculously stereotypical Canadian. I love it.
Colin mentioned John Byrne. It almost looks like Logan's glove or gauntlet, I guess you said, but glove is brownish shaded anyway, which is like John Byrne era. It's probably not if you actually open the comic, but it's just kind of one of those things I noticed. And maybe it's just the way it's shaded, but it does definitely have that element because in John Byrne era, he was getting his ass whooped a lot, which made you really appreciate the character more because he went through hell and back, and like it was very like John McClane type stuff. Even though Wolverine is obviously he has the healing factor, you could really play around and make that dramatic. So it's like, okay, now we can absolutely brutalize him and see what he has to go through. Yeah. And Byrne did that beautifully.
Next up, we have Dungeons of Doom #2. This one says, possible first appearance of a mutant so dangerous Professor X knew it could never be set free. Dungeon crawlers as warring global factions struggle for control of Latveria. An attack by Red Hulk traps them all together in Doom's most secret, most forbidden dungeons. Desperately searching for a path to the surface, they discover horrors Doom never intended to be found. The Eye of Khonshu, the skull-shaped herb, the hammer of treachery, and a mutant so dangerous, they said that twice, that even Charles Xavier knew it could never be set free. Why did they say it twice? They really want you to know that mutant is never supposed to be set free.
So nice. We said it twice.
Yeah. I love it when they do that because it makes me sound dumb when I'm reading the solicit.
Yeah, they're having, nerd podcasters in mind. Absolutely.
So there's multiple. So the Doom, what was it? The arc that the crossover that just ended with Doom. There's a bunch of books that are coming out from Marvel this week that are like the aftermath of that Doom event.
Mm-hmm.
I see Red Hulk is the new Wolverine. Wolverine used to be on every cover back in the day.
Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I see Red Hulk on everything.
Well, he's.
They must have expected the movie to work really well instead of kind of, crumbling into the shadows like it did.
But Red Hulk is a very military character, right?
Yeah.
So I think, Cullen, you and I have talked about this before, that you can deconstruct horror to figure out what people were scared of at the time. When you see aliens in the 50s, it was the Red Scare. When you see aliens in the 80s, it was AIDS. When you see, different things happening or whatever. And so I think that right now with the culture of, the military presence and the militarization of police and stuff like that, that the Red Hulk is a more topical character than he was 10, 15 years ago.
It's like when Doom started getting like an uptick in popularity, international and global affairs started getting a little dicier as far as compared to when he was first introduced, when it was more domestic, right? Same way when the X-Men were introduced initially on the domestic front, you had a lot more to deal with. And then as the mutants kind of crafted their own identity, then you could get a little bit more, you could flesh out the canon while still retaining the whole fighting against prejudice trope that has always kind of worked perfectly for it, but you could kind of change that through the times. Where in the 60s, it was like downright, obviously, matching everything with the civil rights and all the turbulence going on in society.
I think we're overlooking something in that solicit, though. I know, as you read it to us, Brendan, that it's a skull-shaped herb. But wouldn't it be awesome if it's a dude named Herb who's just skull-shaped?
Do you know
Ghost Rider's head just floating?
That's
the KFC Twitter account is only following 11 people, and it's the Spice Girls and 4 dudes named Herb.
Yeah,
because 11 herbs and spices.
I didn't even know. That's great.
Yeah.
Brilliant. But literally a skull-shaped guy named Herb, like that feels so Marvel too.
Yeah.
It's kind of shocking.
My phone's silenced right now, but I'm assuming Marvel's calling me right now. Hey,
he'd get a Disney Plus series in like
we
a
need
year
you
and a
back
half.
quick.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Come on, lead the storyboards for it. Disney Plus streaming 2027.
He can team up with what is it, Gold Ball?
Yes.
That literally just throws gold balls. But so if Gold Ball is throwing gold balls, that's how he defeats you. Can't you just pick up the balls and walk away and success, right? Because now you're rich. No,
I don't know that they're real. I don't know that they're permanent golden balls.
All right. Well,
thanks, Brendan.
Yeah.
The next one up is the Deadly Hands of Kunlun #1. This is a 5-issue limited. It features Iron Fist Lin Li against his brother Lin Fang with the aid of Elektra, White Tiger, White Fox, Pei, Karnak, and Fu. And it's got the first team appearance of the War Fists. It says the 7 heavenly cities are falling. As demonic forces march their conquering army across the 7 heavenly cities, the only one who can stand in their way and restore order is Iron Fist. However, as more cities fall and the demonic forces swell, he'll need to rely on some unlikely allies to face the coming onslaught.
I love it just because I've mentioned it on the show before. Personally, when I really started getting into comics, the Marvel Knights line was really big. So I always kind of have a soft spot, an affinity for the martial arts, hand-to-hand oriented characters. Shang-Chi, Frank Castle, Matt Murdock, obviously. I mean, I like them outside the Knights lines as well, but anything they've done with the Knights, I love. But obviously, everything with Iron Fist as well. I think it's awesome. White Tiger's awesome. And obviously, with the Netflix series, they kind of played into that with Luke Cage, with Jessica Jones. It was kind of like loosely based off the Marvel Knights. But it never really had a lot of continuity, right? Never had a lot of traction. It was more so a cool idea with a lot of cool martial arts-based characters at the time who then kind of went off to do their own things. Black Panther was with it for a while. So anything where you see those characters in a modern setting, I may not, bet money that it would be good, but I will check it out because, again, I have that soft spot for them. And Iron Fist is one of them.
One of the things I did notice about this is there has been a problem in the past with like Iron Fist and stuff like that, where it's just like it's a bunch of white dudes writing the story.
Yeah.
The creative team on this is Yifan Jiang is the writer, Paco Medina is the artist, and CC De La Cruz is the colorist. The editor in chief is still CB Cebulski, but we won't talk about that. But I do like that they have an Asian writer writing Asian stories. That is so important, and that makes more sense than anything that I've seen in this line before.
And Iron Fist is now an Asian character too. It's not Danny Rand anymore.
Right.
Yeah. Or I mean, Danny Rand may still be Iron Fist, but this Iron Fist at least
they've moved on. Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's awesome.
All right.
And also, like anytime the Iron Fist kind of subline really leans into sort of 70s, 80s martial arts kind of style and vibe, like that's the right choice. Like that's
100%. That's why the Heroes for Hire line with him and Luke Cage, which is like I mentioned Marvel Knights. I retroactively, once I found out about him through that line, went back and caught a lot of the 70s and 80s stuff when I could, within reason and how accessible it may have been. But any Power Man and Iron Fist comics I loved, and it tapped into a lot of the social issues at the time. And it's just like Erik just said, really just the general theme of martial arts flicks, kung fu flicks.
Kung Flu?
Kung Flu. That's the new name for Concrud.
Concrud is Kung Flu. Nice.
Kung Flu, yeah.
All right, the penultimate title for this week is Wolverine: Weapons of Armageddon #1. This one has got like 70 first appearances in the very first issue. We've got X66, X73, who apparently manipulates molten metal. So that would be a cool thing if you had Magneto involved to see how those powers kind of balance each other. X74, X92, X99, and X Infinity. When an old acquaintance drags Logan into the search for a new abducted mutant subject, the terrifying methods of the defunct Weapon X program are revealed to be alive and well. As Wolverine follows the scent of the feral Tyler and the scent of his own trauma, he finds himself in a deadly race against the super soldier creating corporation called Prime Warrior, which has just hired a familiar face, the fully armed and upgraded Nuke.
That is Nuke, isn't it?
That is Nuke, yeah.
I've been sitting here the entire time thinking, I recognize this character. And
that's not Street Fighter Guile?
Too. Yeah, right, exactly.
He's got an American flag on his face. That's Nuke.
Yep.
Hey, Paul, have we bored you to sleep?
Haven't seen Nuke in a while, too. Here I am mentioning like 90s Marvel Knights. You're thinking like the dark turns it started to take, and there you go. That was like, prime
that looks
territory.
Like just about the most 90s hero or villain that you could possibly imagine.
Right. Yeah, Nuke was awesome too.
He's got the flat top. He's got the nationalist face paint. He's got that's not a buoy. What's that kind of blade called, Cullen?
I don't know. A knife?
It's not Wolverine. It's not.
Why does Wolverine have
a bigger than a buoy?
Why does Wolverine have a Captain
America shield?
He borrowed it. Needed it today.
Yeah.
What I like about this is apparently there's X66 and X71 and X13 but no, and X99. Oh, there's X Infinity. So now I've got to wait until Marvel introduces an infinite number of these X characters that I'm going to have to deal with.
They're going to go to that well as many times as they possibly can, because it's one of those things where it's like it was a secret organization, and so of course they have secret files. Of course they have secrets we've never heard of. I just watched what was it? Thunderbolts. I just watched Thunderbolts on the airplane on the way back from Pennsylvania to meet my grandbaby. And it's funny because like here's Sentry, right? And he's just in a warehouse somewhere, sleeping on a bed inside of a crate or whatever. And I was like, oh, here's this guy that we've never seen before. And so they're going to keep doing that with the X program, because with Laura Kinney and all the others or whatever, if they don't work, they can just kill them and be like, okay, that was a defective one.
Yep.
But when it does work, they can, have spin-off series and all these different things. So by making it infinite and by making the program be currently in action, it's not just like, okay, we had 12, we only have 12 forever. It's a situation now where they can just kill every one of them that doesn't work and keep moving on with the ones that do.
Well, it's kind of the easy back way, or easy way out, backdoor approach to with the multiverse, right? If it's great, we make it a part of the ongoing continuity, whether it be in the comics or the movies. And if it doesn't work, we just say, well, that's a universe that just is, some offshoot that we'll never touch again. And it's kind of like, it covers a lot of, it's a good risk management approach. It covers a lot of, potential error.
Well, and they did that with Stranger Things too. They never gave a set number of how many of the kids they had, right? But when they needed a new plot device, they would just invent one and be like, "Oh, and here's this Asian one that drives a van and steals." Like,
we're rolling with this now, right?
Yeah, cool. All right, last one for this week is.
I do have one weird kind of opinion, which is I really like the trade dress here. Like it's not your standard Marvel trade dress, but there's just something very smart looking about it.
I like it better than them doing that quarter page thing that they did where they covered the left side with what series was that every time the cover came up, I was like, I hate this so much.
Mm-hmm.
If they're going to take up that much of the cover, do it at the top or do it at the bottom. I agree with you.
Yeah, this makes me think like on the rack graphic novel almost, like in a way on the cover. And that's what I think is really cool. Like you almost like pick it up, and even if it's not, like you pick it up and you feel like it may be even like a special edition with numerous bound all together. It feels like something like that has like a thickness to it.
Well, and it's nice
that the type of cover.
The creator names are up there and they're readable from this distance at this scale. When a lot of times they're just in a separate color down in the bottom corner right there where you can barely see it. But you can see Chip Zdarsky is on this one as well. You can see the top 3 creative teams. So that's going to be the writer and then the artist and then the letterer sometimes, the colorist sometimes. That's probably the colorist on this one.
Mm-hmm. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, cool. And the last one on this week is Ultimate Spider-Man number 24. The reason why this one is a collectible, there it is right there. It's the Ultimate series. That's exactly what I was talking about. It takes up a quarter of the cover. That's such a waste. Yeah, that's such a waste.
I don't mind it. I kind of like it. I don't think it looks good on a comic book store shelf. I don't think it works for the way comic book shops rack their comics.
Right.
But I mean, I like it at this image. I wouldn't like it if I was browsing a comic shop.
100%. And I like that. That's a good point. Like in terms of how it would like sell as a product visually, maybe not great. In terms of the actual thought going into it, like the U in the Ultimate Marvel line with the spider almost looking like it's dangling down from a web. That is awesome.
Well, and this is kind of dynamic because Spider-Man is swinging across or whatever. It does kind of work for this cover, but there are some that are like centered covers that are done with the thirds and done like a classic cover where it literally cuts off a third of the dude's face that you're looking at. Yep. But the solicit for this one, it says, it's the end of the line. This is it, folks. The last you'll see of Spidey and his ultimate friends by Hickman and Checchetto. That's all we can tell you. So they're not going to tell you anything about how it ends, but this is the final episode. And so that's what makes this one a collectible. It's one of those covers that there's tons of spaces on there to get a signature. If you get a nice clean version of it, you can get this one signed and slabbed and do all the collectible things with it. Or you can just read the story as it was intended, because ultimately that's what I like comics for. But yeah, they're selling this one as a collectible, clearly with the way that they're marketing it.
It's also a good final issue cover. You do like having that kind of retrospective feel for all the characters that your title characters met with over
it's all coming together.
Like that's a really nice thing.
Oh man, no more Spider-Man stories.
Right.
That's a bold move with
it totally
Spider-Man movies coming out, and this is it. I mean, no more Spider-Man. I mean, amazing.
Really? No,
I love that.
True.
Cullen makes that observation, but one of the jokes that happens is usually for every week there's like 6 or 7 Spider-Man issues that are coming out, and I have to like grab like 3 of them. And Steve will comment every single time. He's like, "God damn it, another Spider-Man? Really? That's what we're doing today?"
And now it seems like it's the grand finale, and that's so true because, as Erik said, it kind of gives the feeling of like the television promo for the season finale, or maybe even the series finale, and it's not like it's like a lot of flashback, retrospect type of, nostalgia type of feels. Who's going to return? Who's going to make a cameo? It kind of gives that type of element, that type of feel.
And Paul Vato actually had to drop some weight from when he was bulked up for Red Hulk to pose for this Spider-Man cover because he's underneath that suit there.
100%.
I figured as much.
Very
Wilson. Are you sure he's not Wilson Fisk? Yeah.
Who's Fist?
Iron Fist. There you go. And
Nice. All right.
And
That's everything that we have for this week. As is our tradition, a part of Paul Vato's contract is that he gets 60 seconds at the end of every episode to plug whatever crap it is that he's selling. And so we're going to go ahead and let him do that now.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's start with the first one, and that's BioLite. It's an acquaintance's hydration company, IV in a bottle. Oh my goodness. But more importantly,
how does it taste?
Delicious. This one's lemon lime, fruit punch, and then I also have some watermelon in powder form.
Does it hydrate you well?
Oh, it's medically, yes. Her father, who's a doctor, a real doctor, that was his creation, his invention. So it's medically, it's 6.5 times more hydration than any of the other products out there. So get yourself some BioLite.
Absolutely.
But more importantly, let's talk about Kama Susia. You know, my book, which I would love to turn this. Maybe this is the next project to turn into.
Hey yo, look up BioLite.
I'm in the middle of promoting, guys.
No, it's called BioLite.
And Vato Plane. Guys, look for my new hedgehog comic partnership with Cullen Bunn, I think. Hello? Anyone still there? Hi, we're still on, right?